Robert Francis Prevost has chosen the name Pope Leo XIV.
That's exactly what happened last week, the election of a new pope. Now, no, that is not anything new, but this one is a little bit more significant, you can say, because this pope is actually making history. He is the first cardinal to be voted in as pope who comes originally from the United States. Robert Francis Prevost, who used to be a cardinal, now he is pope. He was born in Chicago, Illinois, but he spent a lot of his ministry years in the country of Peru. And when he was elected pope last week, he took the name Pope Leo XIV. Now, like I mentioned, this is nothing new. We know that popes are going to be elected when one pope resigns, like Benedict, or when other popes pass away, just like Francis. But realizing that this pope is making history, it's kind of like a light bulb moment for us, especially to see what we understand within Bible prophecy and how does it connect into the end times. Now, we're not going to go into a prophetic study today, all right? That's going to be a little more in-depth within other videos. But there are two things I want to look at today, and that is the influence religiously and politically, and seeing the role that the United States has to play within end times. Now, why is the election of this specific pope so significant for us? Well, knowing he is originally from the United States of America, the papal influence within the US, it's going to probably increase. And that could eventually lead into the separation of church and state being broken. This is where the United States plays a big role within Bible prophecy. Now look what Sister Ellen White tells us. It's a warning here in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 6, page 18. As America, the land of religious liberty, shall unite with the papacy in forcing the conscience and compelling men to honor the false Sabbath, the people of every country on the globe will be led to follow her example. So this is telling us that at the end of times, the papacy and the United States will join forces together and start to place religious laws on the people. That's where you see our religious liberty that we currently have pretty much be disregarded. Now, don't get me wrong. I do agree that it is important for anybody, if you're a leader, if you're not a leader yet, to always seek the wisdom and the guidance of God. That is important for all of us. But if you realize what I said, it is important for us to do it. That's an individual aspect. The connection is personal between you and God only. The personal seeking of God should not disregard the constitutional separation of church and state, though. We know that government's role is to protect the rights of the people. There are many freedoms in the United States Constitution, and which one of them being the freedom of religion to practice what we believe. Now take a look at this clip probably about a month ago on what President Trump said. I believe it was during an event of a National Day of Prayer.
And you know, they work right out of the White House. They've never done that. That's never been done before. No other president allowed that. I think, you know, they say separation. They say separation between church and state, they told me. I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. We said, really, the separation? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure.
Look, I'm happy that President Trump is definitely seeking God a lot more. But that statement he mentioned, okay, that is kind of alarming. Because when we think of the separation of church and state, that is basically the religious barrier or safeguard, you could say. It gives us more freedom to follow what we believe. But when that barrier, that separation is weakened and broken, that is where our religious freedom is at stake. Potentially with the most dominant religious viewpoint basically taking over all of them, enforcing those laws. Hey, this is how something is supposed to be, and this is how this is supposed to be. And well, that is clearly division. Currently using the NIV version of the Bible, and here in Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 to 12, it says, Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. And by the way, did you see the 2 horns there that were mentioned in the Bible? Yeah, civil and religious liberty. Civil and religious liberty, that is great. But then it ends up later on in Bible prophecy exercise the power and the authority of the first beast, which is the papacy. Now, we are not targeting specific individuals within the Catholic Church. As a matter of fact, with Catholics that I know, they have to be probably one of the most loving people. And I know many of them, they genuinely do love God and have that connection with Him. But in the aspect that we're talking about, it's specifically towards a system, not individuals. So when we disregard the separation of church and state, this could be a closer step to this fulfillment of prophecy. So what do I have to say here? Well, yes, amazing that leaders are wanting to seek God. That is important. I try to seek God all the time too. As a leader myself, I know I'm not perfect. I'm nowhere near perfect. So I'm clearly going to have to seek the wisdom of God, and it is important. But it should not interfere with the religious freedoms that we have right now. Now, this may sound something like scary, alarming, and as a matter of fact, I did mention the word alarming earlier when we mentioned about President Trump's statement. Yes, it is alarming, but this should not really scare us, okay? Bible prophecy is not to make us feel afraid, but it's to prepare us to know what is going to happen. We are being called here at this moment for thoughtful consideration and to pray without ceasing. Pray earnestly to God. So continue studying Bible prophecy, because that's what we'll do on this channel together as well. Not to scare us, not to frighten us, but to prepare us for these final times before Jesus comes back to bring us home.